A huge step for conscious leaders is to learn how to accept every emotion. And yes, I mean every emotion. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Engineer community. Here, sharing insight and tools to start helping you take charge in your life, be able to lead your life from a different place, and of course, be able to impact the life of others in a different way too. So, today I want to talk a little bit about the emotions. Although a lot of people nowadays, we hear more and more people talking about the emotional side, what I see is very few people that are navigating the emotions. Before, it was, denying the emotion totally. It was emotions. What was that? It's like they don't exist in a way. Lately, more and more in the past couple of decades, the emotion intelligence concept has been, feeding the market, and more people are talking about this, and I'm really glad. But unfortunately, a lot of people are still kind of moving away from the emotion. What does that mean? Is suddenly I start feeling angry and I start telling myself that I shouldn't feel angry. I start trying to minimize how I feel. So although I'm feeling it, I'm not really navigating and learning from that emotion. So a conscious leader, a true conscious leader, what I want to share is that it needs to start navigating the emotions, learning from that. What does that mean? I share three basic questions that I teach everybody that I work with, from people that are working from home, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, presidents, directors, from companies, management, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. I teach them the exact same thing because this is the true way of navigating the emotions when we're going through something. The first thing is to understand that emotions are not good or bad. They're just positive or negative, to want to put something, a charge to it, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that there's a part of me, and this is one of the things that I share a lot, is there's a part of me that is feeling anger. First thing, there's a part of me feeling anger. Then the idea is, oh, how am I feeling? Sorry, the first question I would ask is, if I feel anger, I realize that's great. If I don't even know, is start tapping into your body, into your mind, into your emotions, say, okay, how am I feeling in this moment? My heart rate is racing. I have a presentation. I have to talk to my partner. I'm seeking for another job. I have an audition. I have something, right? And suddenly my heart is starting to pound. It's starting going faster. So the idea is to, okay, how am I feeling? And at the beginning, and I work with a lot of people, they're like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. And they start talking, taking it to the logic world. The idea is, okay, how am I feeling? I have no idea. Okay, tap into the body. Okay, I feel, some pain, some discomfort on my chest. I feel it on my throat. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it, on the back of my on my on my back, right? My upper back, my lower back. So it's starting to connect in the body to then be able to start tapping into the emotion itself if we can. So the first question again is, how do I feel? I feel anger. I feel sadness. I feel shame. I feel stress. I feel anxiety. So try to start tapping into the emotions that you're going through. And normally, I want to share this with people because I hear a lot of people, when they start feeling anger, automatically they try to move away from it. Try to say, oh, but what this person did wasn't that bad, so I shouldn't feel so angry. That is not really dealing with their emotions, just as, again, stuffing them, numbing them. The idea would be, okay, I'm feeling angry. Why am I feeling angry? Try to go deeper, because anger normally is the lid that we use to protect ourselves from deeper emotions. Deeper emotion could be shame. Deeper emotion could be sadness, loneliness or something like that. So we're using anger to cover, to protect ourselves from deeper, stronger emotions. So when you're feeling angry, remember that normally that is the lid. We need to try to go deeper to see what is underneath the anger. How do I feel anger? Then, okay, why do I feel anger? So I start combining the logic side with the emotional side. Now I'm feeling anger, emotional side. Why am I feeling anger? I'm feeling anger because this person said this about me, or this person did this, or this person didn't listen. Okay, how else do I feel when somebody doesn't listen to me? And now start going deeper. You might feel frustrated. You might feel, again, sadness. You don't feel important. What is going on in the mind? What are the narratives you're telling yourself, guys? Because remember that whatever emotion is coming out, the emotion is just, again, a symptom of the narrative that you're telling yourself. The emotion is not the problem. A lot of people try to control emotions. Like I said before, some people in the past would have controlled emotions by just numbing them, repressing them, throwing them to the side. I don't want to deal with them. But the idea is, okay, I'm feeling anger. Why am I feeling anger? Because I said this to this person and they're not listening. Okay, how else does that make me feel? It makes me feel, frustrated. It makes me feel sadness maybe. Why sadness? So how does it make you feel about yourself in situations like this when people don't listen to you? So again, how do I feel? Why do I feel this? And how does this make me feel about myself to try to find the narrative, the script, the story you're telling yourself. So imagine I work with a lot of people that say, Tommy, I don't like when I tell my team or my couple, my partner or wherever, I'm telling them something and they don't even listen. How does it make you feel? It makes you feel anger, frustrated, sadness. Okay, how does it make you feel about yourself? It makes me feel that I'm not important. There you go. Now you're starting to tap into the narrative, the story you're telling yourself. You're telling yourself you're not important when people don't listen. And people might not be listening because they have many things going on in their head, because they're too stubborn and they cannot listen. They are not capable of listening. They're in a lot of pain and they're not being able to really process what they're telling. So most of the times it had to do with them. But how you feel has to do with the story you're telling yourself. So instead of blaming the other person is, okay, what's happening within me? What are the narratives, the stories, the programs I'm telling myself? Because I have the power to work on changing those stories. Again, I cannot control my emotions, but I can control the way I tell myself, I talk to myself, that is going to impact the emotions that I have and then the actions, the behaviors, the reactions that I have. So remember, we have behaviors, actions, reactions that are created by emotions. And emotions are the byproduct of the narratives, the beliefs that you're telling yourself. So as a conscious leader, the idea is to be able to understand this process. And whenever you start feeling something, to stop a second, take a couple of breaths and start. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And how does this make me feel about myself? And how could this be related with my past? I've been working with people that suddenly, when somebody of the team member or their partners or their kids don't listen, it reminded them when they were kids and they were not listened by their parents. So it brings a lot of pain from those unresolved issues from their past. And now they might react by screaming, yelling, trying to control people. But at the end, it has to do with them. It has nothing to do with the other person on the outside. So when we start dealing with what's going on the inside and we start healing that, retraining the mind, thinking a different way, we can react in a different way. And that's what we're trying to share here to start developing more conscious leaders. That could be a person that has a job, that is looking for a partner, that with their friends, with their family, we're always leading. Whether it is one person, a group of people, we're always leaders. That's why I'm, adding this conscious leader to the work that I do as a concept. I've been teaching this many years, but is now applying it as conscious leadership, is be able to impact the life of others in a positive way. Imagine you go to a grocery shop and the guy there is in a bad mood, and instead of taking it personal, is understand that he's in pain. He might be going through not getting to the end of the month. He was screwed. He needs to, some people took more than they should, so now he has to put it out of his pocket, the money that was lost, whatever. I don't know what's going on in his life. The problem is most of the time we take it personal and we attack back, and the person might be going through something difficult. And wouldn't we like, if we were going through something difficult, for somebody to try to support us and help us through it more than judging us for going through something difficult? So the idea is to understand that we can influence people every single day. Even people that are introverts that don't like going much out, you're always having the opportunity to impact the life of somebody. So how are we impacting other people's lives? Friends, family, neighbors, people in the grocery shop, in the supermarket, doesn't matter. How are you impacting people? Has to do with how you are living your life, the narratives you're telling yourself. So as we become more conscious and we start accepting every emotion and understanding from them and learning from them, then we can see the narrative that we're telling ourselves that is creating that emotion. We change the narratives, we change the emotions. We change the narratives, we change the emotions. If we don't deal with our narratives, guys, it's going to be very difficult to manage our emotions. And doesn't mean controlling our emotions. They're not controllable. They can be manageable, but they cannot be controlled. How do we manage them? By validating and accepting them. Okay, feeling anger. It's okay to feel angry. One of the things that Brené Brown says a lot in Dare to Lead, in her book that I love, Brené Brown, Dare to Lead, for leaders and people in general, it talks about it's okay to feel anger. It's okay to feel sadness. It's what you do afterwards that it's okay or not. If I'm angry and I go scream at my partner because I'm angry, that wouldn't be the best way to deal with my anger. But if I'm able to release it, navigate it and get it out of the system and then go talk to somebody that I need to talk to, that is going to have a much better impact than if I go beat somebody up or if I, scream at my partner or my kids because I'm going through something myself. So it is to be able to understand that the emotional world is something that we need to start navigating. And it's freaking scary and it's freaking difficult. Why, guys? Because we have been taught to escape from it, to ignore it, to repress it as much as we can. We have become professionals at not navigating the emotional world. And we have been taught that when we feel negative emotions, it's a threat. Because if you were crying, your mom would have said maybe, or your dad, I'm going to give you a reason to cry. Stop crying or I'll give you a reason to cry. Or don't be a whiner, don't be a crybaby, or don't be, grumpy or whatever. We were exposed to negative judgment, right? To judgment, criticism, rejection, to negative comments whenever we're feeling our emotions, our negative emotions, of course, right? So when we're feeling negative emotions, we were taught that that was very painful. So now I'm telling you that we need to start going into that world that we were taught that is such a big threat. So it's not easy, guys, but the only way to really become responsible, to really become in charge in your life and start being able to make changes, start impacting your life in a positive way and other people's life in a positive way, is by retraining the mind to understand that we need to start navigating in those waters. It's scary. There's storms ahead of us. It's not going to be easy. Our boat might, turn around and then come back up again. We sometimes might feel that we're going to die. I've experienced this working with some people that they felt that they were going to die going through that pain because that was that little kid that was going through so much pain, something really traumatic, and they thought they were going to die because they didn't know how to cope with those emotions or feelings. But as we start slowly navigating that world, we start developing the muscle to deal with more emotions. As we deal with more emotions, we're able to navigate and release. Because remember, the emotions that are not dealt with, they stay in the body and they start affecting us in different ways. And that could be also seen as disease. So if we don't deal correctly with our emotions, they can start causing problems in different parts of the body. So it's not a threat. It's just to understand as an invitation to say, okay, what do I rather do? Would I rather keep avoiding emotions, or would I rather navigate them to be able to release them finally? Because one of the things that I loved the other day listening to a guy that he was saying, and I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again, is joy is the mother of all emotions. Joy is not going to come into your home if you're not letting her kids come into your home. Meaning if you don't let every emotion go into your world, joy is going to be very difficult to stick around in your home. So if you want to feel more joy, you need to start being able to practice connecting with other emotions that are keeping you stuck, because as you deal with them, eventually joy will start tapping into your home and you're going to start being able to feel it. So again, remember that we need to start accepting and validating every emotion. And it's not easy. It's a path that I'm inviting you guys to start traveling, because that's going to allow you to start being able to release them and to be able to start feeling more joy, happiness, self-realization, many other emotions that many times we're not feeling, because as we numb the negative emotions, we're also numbing the positive emotions. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you're watching live, #live, if you're watching replay, if you're liking this and you want to learn more how to develop your conscious leadership skills, how to start walking this in a more authentic way and connect with yourself and with others, write the word free training and we'll share free training with more insight and tools to start helping you develop that conscious leadership skills. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next week. Take